Hi y'all, it's Charlene from the Crafty Art Shack, and we're back here again today because we're going to be working with this beautiful macaw.
Got Orchid right here, and we're going to try to work on him over here on this side of the table. And what I'm going to do is, this side was originally red, and it's faded to an orange, and so was originally red and it faded to an orange. So we're going to paint this back red. Loaded my brush up. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to load our brush up, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm keeping this one in the picture and not me, because I noticed that my hand was showing more in the other one. And so I'm just stroking over and pushing this down into those feather grooves, and I'm going to come back and blend over that yellow. But right now I'm just trying to get the red part on, the base coat on. So this is going to go pretty quick, and I'm just filling in that base coat. And
I forgot to hit the record button and I just did that whole section. Okay, so what we did is we got all of this painted back red down to right about here, and all of his feathers back in here. Now this needs to be painted yellow to revive it, and we're going to repaint this crest up here. I just went through and did this, but I'm going to redo it so I can show y'all how we're going to blend those colors back in. So let's do that. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean my brush. I am going to clean my brush this time now. Okay, I'm going to get that red out of there. I need that red out of my brush because I'm going to be painting yellow. Why? Why am I cleaning my brush? I'm cleaning my brush because yellow is a lighter color paint than red. And if you try to blend with that red in there, it's just going to bleed all over everything. And paint it white because I want to cause this to brighten up, and my color underneath is not dry and it's turning pink. So we're going to have to wait on this part for another part of the video after this dries. But I'm going to go ahead and put down this layer of white since I've already started, and let that dry in there just like that. Now while I'm waiting on that one to dry, I'll wipe out some of that paint out of my brush because it's got color in it. I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to take some of this white paint. I'm going to load up my brush with white paint, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to brighten this up because this, I want, see, I still got some of that red in this brush from where I just touched this up here. I'm going to paint this white. Am I in the video? Paint this white because I want to brighten it up. And it's okay if it's got a little bit of that red in it right now because we're going to go over this anyway. You just don't want a whole lot in it because you really are trying to brighten it up, not dull it down. And the more color you have in that, the more it's going to dull it down. And we are just going to go through here and paint this white. And when I get done with that, I'll come back.
and I'm loading it up. I'm going to come up here and make sure I'm not in the picture, but my paintbrush is. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to wiggle it up underneath those feathers and tuck it up underneath there and pull that color down. You want to make sure you do this really good. When I was painting this white, I will tell you I went back and painted 2 coats on there because it was kind of still showing through, and I want a really bright yellow because remember, we're trying to get this macaw to brighten up. And it's okay if we're tucking, when we're tucking up under here, if we hit some of these white ones with the yellow, because they're going to be a darker yellow up under there. This is a lighter yellow here. And it's okay if we touch these green ones down here because we haven't painted those yet. And we're just going to scoot on all the way around, painting these in this light yellow color. And we're just going to we're going to grab some more yellow on our brush. I'm going to grab some more white, mix it together really good. And come back up here and paint those colors in. And go all the way around. And I'm even going up under that layer of green to hit those yellow ones because I want to make sure those yellow ones get colored in. Now when I get around here to where these red ones are, I'm going to want to be a little bit more careful when I paint there because I don't want to paint that red again. So I'm going to have to be careful when I get around here. I got to put a little bit more yellow paint out. So I'm going to grab some more yellow, a little bit more white, mix it in my brush good, come back up here and start dabbing it on. And I'm just pushing it up
under those feathers and onto those feathers, and then I'm pulling back down. And when I get up here to the red ones, I'm going to be really gentle when I'm painting those because I don't want to paint onto those. Can y'all see? I don't want, when I get right here where the red one is, can y'all see that? I'm going to just very carefully, if I can hit the red one, like I got a little bit of yellow paint on that red one right there, but if I do, it's okay. It's just paint. We'll come back and fix it, but I'm trying to minimize any cleanup we're going to have to do. And it's okay if we've got one of those wings that are tinted with a little bit of red in it, because remember that's the way it was when we got it. But we're trying to make them bright and beautiful. Okay, let's see. Do I have you in the camera? There we go. Make sure I'm still in camera range for y'all. And we're going to go around here and tuck that in there. And there's a red one right there that needs some more paint on it. But I'm going to take advantage of it and get that yellow up under there while it doesn't have any red paint on it. And I'm going to make sure
over here to the other side, and I'm going to lay my brush this way in the paint, and I'm going to pick up the same two colors on the opposite side of the brush, but with the colors on the other side. And what that does is that gives me a two-tone look. Okay, now let me get Orchid back up here. Now what I'm going to do is I want to start getting a little bit more careful when I'm going in here because I don't want to have to do as much touch-up painting. See, like right here on this red, I got a little bit of yellow. I'm going to have to come back in and touch that up. So now that I'm down here with the green is a darker color. That yellow, if I have to come back and paint a green mark with that yellow is going to take a whole lot to cover it up. So I'm going to be careful painting this green when I paint it on here. Now, are y'all in the picture? Or am I painting Orchid in the picture? Okay, but
can y'all see? Let me make sure I got y'all in the picture. There you go. We've got all of Orchid's green feathers painted in. And we didn't touch any of the yellow ones. Yay! Did I get this one? Okay, this one is blue, and yes, it has yellow on it. And we're going to fix that when we fix the blue ones. Okay, so now let's clean our brushes, and then we'll start on the blue.
So now we're going to be painting his blue feathers all the way from this yellow side. Now this side's still wet with the green, so we're going to start over here on this side. And we're going to start right up here in here. And if you'll notice, his blue feathers go under here. And then they come up here. Okay. I'm going to do the top ones with y'all on camera. The other ones I'm going to have to do off camera. Only because I got to turn him over and that's a hard position to get videotaped here on the camera. So I'm going to show you how we're doing these right here, and then I'll let y'all see that on camera.
Those tail feathers. And the reason why we added 2 colors from up here where we only did 1 is because now we're going to transition into doing where we want it to be variegated a little bit more. And I see 2 little places up here on his wings that need to be touched up. And while I'm here and can see them, I'm going to go ahead and dab a little paint on that while I'm looking at it, because I might miss it later if I don't. Okay, and I'm going to just continue on down the wings. Down the plumage, filling that in and brightening it up. And we want to get right here too, because this is old paint, this is new, and this is new over here. Keep going back and get more paint on your brush, because make sure I'm not in y'all's way so y'all can see. And when you get over here to where the yellow and the red meet, you'll want to take and make sure you're painting one whole feather to be the red, right up to that yellow. See, like this one's a yellow, that's a whole feather. This one was a half red and half yellow feather, so I'm going to paint it in and make it a whole red one, because birds don't have half feathers. And so I'm making sure each one of these feathers are painted in and they're not half feathers. That's the hardest part about this whole project, is making sure nothing is a half feather, okay? Everything else is pretty much already done for you. You're just touching it up. This is pretty easy. You already know the colors. You're just taking and adding more color to it and get brightening it up. When you get down here to this leg, just be a little careful. Don't touch that leg, but if you do, it's okay. It's just paint. Okay, I'm going to flip him around here where I can see him a little better, so I can get into this section here. I'm adding more paint to my brush. Get my brush good and loaded up. And I hit all those little feathers right up in there. Make sure I get all of those that haven't been touched up with the paint. Making sure I get everything with some paint on it. And if I'm looking up in there and I see something that got a little blue on it, I'll make sure I put a little bit more red on it than what it had before, so that I can cover that up, because I don't want that blue showing through. I want it to be red like it's supposed to be. I want to do better than the first artist did that painted this. Okay, and then I'm going to just get up under here, get all these little feathery plumage under here done. And then I'm going to make sure I pull all the extra paint down, because that extra paint will sit there and dry in a blob if you don't. And you don't want that. This is kind of like a paint by number. You want to make sure you get your brush and go up under here. That's hard to see. This is going to be hard for me to get with the camera for y'all. But you want to take your brush and just kind of rub it around in there really good. And get that really good. Because you don't want anything missed. And if you notice, whenever they originally painted anything in here, that's what was missed. Okay? I'm going to come back out here. Am I still where y'all can see? Come back out here. Making sure I don't touch that blue, because I want that blue to be finished. I don't want to have to go back and touch it up. When your brush feels hard and tacky to move along, so what I'll do is I'll grab a little bit of water, dip my brush just in the water just a little bit, and add it to my paint. And then put it in here. That way my paint will flow just a little bit better as I'm putting it on here and go into the cracks and crevices, because we don't want to miss any of that. And we're going to come back on this feather right here, this big feather, when we're finished, and do some highlighting on it, because it has a lot of detail in it that's going to need to be highlighted more so than the rest of the bird. I see a few places up here. If you're going along in a project and you stop and you see something and you're got that same color on your brush, go ahead and get it while you can. Now I turned the bird, and the reason why I turned them is not so you are not immune to messes. Now see how I got a lot of water in that brush? You want to be careful of that, because that will run and that will make a mess. And when I say a mess, if we make a mess, you gotta be careful. But yeah, that's why I'm working really quick and pulling that through there as fast as I can, because I don't want it to run. It will run if you give it half a chance. And is my big head in y'all's way? Probably was. Probably was the whole time. Okay, we're going to get this side of the feather over here now. Let me see if I can keep my head out of the way. Here I am. I got y'all positioned where y'all can see, and I go stick my head in the way. I don't know if it was in the camera. It probably will be when I go back to look at it to edit it. But this feather, we're going to paint it red right now, but we're going to come back in, and all of these little feather brush strokes right here, these little ruffles in the feather, we're going to come back and highlight that just like we did up here. Well, y'all can't even see that, can you? We're going to highlight these ruffles, these feather parts down here. We're going to highlight them just like we did up here in the crest that I didn't catch on the video. But I'll show you that. Okay, we're going to turn him around, and we're going to get under this part right here. Can y'all see that? Am I sticking my head in the way again? The hardest part of doing this video stuff is trying to keep myself out of the way so y'all can see. Make sure my head's back behind the camera. Can y'all see that I'm getting down where... Alright, let me see if I can paint where y'all can see. And okay, when we're painting these feathers right here, you want to make sure that you're painting whole feathers where you're going to end at. So we're making our end line. So wherever our end line is, that's where our feathers are going to end in red. We want to make sure we paint a whole feather on our end line. And if you don't know what I mean by end line, whenever a bird has feathers, like this is a whole feather here, if that feather's going to fall on our end line, we want to make sure we paint that whole feather red, not leave half of it yellow. Just so we can make a straight line, because birds have whole feathers one color, or a variegated color, not half of a color. I don't know how to explain what I'm trying to say, but if you know what I mean by what we're painting. In other words, we don't want to have a half yellow feather and a half red feather. We want a whole red feather or a whole yellow feather. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. That's the crazy thinking here at the Crafty Art Shack. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. When I come up with a story, I don't change it. I stick to it. And that's just my crazy thinking. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm making sure I get up under here and get these really good. Now we're gonna, where this looks like hair right here, this is like his, I don't know what you call it on a bird, but it's like, they're not really feathers, but they're not really hair. And it's like, I don't know what it's called, but that's where we're going to do some of that, whatever you call it. Is my head, am I sticking my head in the video again? I probably am. I'm going to lay this down because I got to get up under here. I got to get right under here and get this section of yellow that comes right up next to that blue. This is one way to keep my head out of the video. And this is a good way to get up under this section right here as well. And if your paint starts getting a little dry, go get a little bit of water or put some fresh paint down. I always add just a little bit of water. I don't try to put more paint down because I don't want to put more down than what I'm going to use. Use to paint his feet with. And I'm going to put a little bit of that down in my paint tray. And I'm going to use the same brush. And yes, I've cleaned my brush. Same brush. And we're just going to not touch the red paint. We're just going to touch up his feet in the places where he needs it. If I'm not touching up the whole foot, because his whole foot doesn't really need it. At this point, we did the major part of the bird where he needed to be touched up, and we've got some more stuff we're going to do on him in just a minute, but we want to kind of do some touch up down here on the feet and cover up some of that where the paint has been chipped off. And I want to just put some over the top of it, let it dry, and then go back up and work on the bird. But I got to let some of the bird dry, so while I'm waiting on that to dry, I'm going to work on this down here. So, is my head in the video again? If it is, I apologize. Trying to stay out of it. We're just checking his feet. I keep touching his back. Branches. And see how that's coming out more green than it is brown? That's okay. We're going to come back over into our stuff and pick up some more brown then. If your colors don't turn out the color you want it to, just go back to the drawing board, pick up more. And keep putting the color on until you get the color you want. And see, that looks more like the color there. Now, watch this. This is the color that we put on. This is our baby wipe. Now, it's a dry baby wipe. You can use a paper towel. Just go in there, put that color on. And this will work better with a paper towel because it won't fuzz out like that. This will work better with a paper towel because it won't fuzz out like that. And see how it got it down into the cracks like that? Okay, now I'm going to go back to my paint bowl over here. Clean up my paintbrush just a little bit. Get most of that green off. Because I want it to come back to be more brown. So I got the green down in the crevices. I'm going to come back and pick up my two color browns. And I'm going to mix them. I want the dark and the light brown. And I think I want more of the light brown, so I'm going to pick up more of that. And I'm going to come back up here and I'm going to paint again. And look at that. Look at that. Can y'all see that? Did I stick my head in the way again? Can y'all see that? Look how good that matches. And look, you would never even know that that was not the original color. Ah, I grabbed that red again. Okay, so we're going to come around here and we're going to touch up this little spot and this little spot over here. And we're just going to go along our branch and check it out and make sure that we're catching any of the little spots that have paint rubbed off. We got one down here. Can y'all see down there? Am I sticking my head in the way again? I'm sorry. I'm going to keep my head back here. Okay, we're going along just the branch now, not anything else. So I found part of his talon right there that needs some paint. Okay, we'll check that out in just a minute. Now, we're going to put some of this paint on here for this branch right here. But we're going to pull it back. Watch this, right here. When I put that paint in there, I'm going to pull it. So it looks like it's supposed to be on that branch just like that all the time, okay? See how you put it in there and you pull it and you match the color? You can even take your finger and go in there and wipe some of it off. Just to make it match, and it'll fill in what was missing on there, okay? And you just keep blending until you get it to look like you want it to. See, we're not perfect, but we're making it look like we want it to, and it's just blending it in. And nobody's going to know that that was changed. And look, that looks like a piece of wood. It looks just like the wood. Okay, we're just turning it some more, and we're looking at the brown right now. Okay, we got a toadstool down here, and it's a brown toadstool. Can y'all see that down there? Can y'all see that brown toadstool? Right here. Where's that? Right there. Okay, that's what we're painting. I'm going to put some brown on it. Trying to keep my head out of the way. Put some brown on that one. Brown on this one. And then we're going to come back, take some of this brown off of our brush, and grab a little bit of the green. Wet our brush just a little bit. Dab some of that paint off. Grab a little bit of the green and give it a little bit of a green tint to that brown. See what I'm doing? Now let's keep turning and checking out our branch. We're just working on the branch piece. Okay, we got some right here. Okay, we need to grab some more color. Move my head out of the way. Make sure to keep my head out of the way. You see how I put my finger up there and wipe it in? Get in the color into those cracks that I want. Not sure where that dropped off, but what we're doing is we're painting our flowers. We're putting the first coat of paint on our flowers, covering up that yellow. We'll go back in and add the yellow later. But we're putting the first coat of paint on our flowers and getting this ready to go. Okay, we are back and everything's dried up. I don't know how much of the video got seen, but we touched up the leaves, we touched up the flowers, and we touched up these flowers up here, which these look like they may need another coat. We need to put the yellow back in these flowers down here. This leaf needs another coat, and we're looking to see what else needs to be done. And it looks like we need to touch up these leaves right here where the white spilt over onto that. And other than that, I think that will be the end of that. So let's touch up those places really quick. We're going to take and use the same brush we've been using throughout this whole process. We're going to grab some of that green paint that's still on our tray here. And we're going to come down here and pull that leaf. We're going to just brush that in on the leaf. And what we're doing is where those paint chips were, we're going to take and pull. We're going to just start on the leaf and pull out. Pull out, pull out, pull out, pull out. And you're going to want to go along the whole leaf so it doesn't look like, I just touched the white. No, it's okay. This is paint. We'll paint it again. Okay, so we're just going to touch it and pull out. That's what you get when you paint with your left hand. Uncontrolled. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit more on there. I'm going to lay it. With the left hand, it's kind of hard to do, but you want to lay it on there. And you want to lightly put it on and not pull it back off. I've got that one chip right there that I'm trying to cover up. We'll let this dry and we'll come back and we'll add some more because that's going to take a couple of coats right here because that chip is still showing through right there. So I'm going to get some of this green off this brush, wipe it off this way, And then we're going to rinse it out. Or I tell you what I'm going to do. Since I got some green on my brush, I'm going to stick it in the water. And then I'm going to come down here to my flower. And I'm going to touch my flower right where those little bubble things are. And where we kind of overwent on the, with the white. And we're just going to kind of touch up through there with the little green stems. And then we're going to rinse out our brush really good. And this is just an empty pill bottle that I put water in because I don't like to keep a whole lot of water around my sewing machines back here that I use for my other crafts. And I'm going to lay this brush to the side because it has green on it and I don't want that in my white paint. And I got my brush I was using for my white right here. And I'm going to take and dip over into the white. And I'm going to add a little bit of water to my white. And I did that with just a spray bottle. I keep a spray bottle on my desk. Get a little bit of white. Come down here, touch the spot that I hit with the green. Hit this spot right here. I got a couple of spots I want to touch up before I go to painting the yellow back. And make sure I get all the way up in there really good. And then I'm going to come around here to this one that's right here. I don't know how well y'all can see that on the video, but we're going to get in there and hit that one more time to kind of brighten it up. And then we're going to come back with our yellows and hit those centers. Okay, we're going to add this lemon yellow to our tray. And I've still got white on my brush. But it's okay because I'm gonna do those center parts, and it's gonna have a whitish yellow color anyway, and then it's gonna go up into the orange up here in the top, and so that's gonna be okay. And I'm loading up my brush really good with the yellow and white, and I'm gonna start down here at this one. I'm going to paint the yellow in, come all the way up into the stem, and I'm sorry but I got to turn it so I can see it. Okay, and then we've got this little one over here. How that looks, and voila. Now these guys up here didn't have that in there, so I'm not going to put that back in there, but what we are going to do is we're going to come back down here to this one leaf that one chip is still showing up in. That looks good right there. So we're going to come up here and we're going to touch the tops of this one. We're going to touch the very top of this one in here with just a little bit. We're going to come over here and touch the top of this one. And the top of this one we're going to sneak in here and get, just like that. in there, but we're going to put a little bit. And we need a little touch up right there. Okay. Now, we have got all of this bird and his beautiful plumage. And I'm just touching up some spots. And it's okay that my brush has orange on it because I'm touching the red. And we're just giving it some different dimensions by adding different colors in there. And we're going to run down, adding some of that yellow, and then see how I pull that back. And you just keep playing around with it until you get it like you want. And by adding that lighter color in there, you're giving dimension to this tail feather. And where you don't want it light, you pull back that color with your brush. That's what you see me doing with that brush, is pulling back.